Nun. Hi. What are you doing? Hi friends, welcome back. My name is Melissa. If you're just joining me here, welcome. For today's video, we are going to do a planty update. I feel like it's time. I haven't updated since December and we are now in February. So I'm gonna take you around my plant room, give you some updates on the new plants that I've gotten, kind of my pest treatment, black mite situation, as well as some new growth and some plants I have repotted. And yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun little video. I'm excited to just show you guys around a little bit. I just watered in here the other day. Today's Monday, and I still have to finish a few polls that I didn't get to over the weekend. I was treating so many plants for flat mites and watering, and then I was installing this new plant corner, which you guys saw in the previous video. So it was a lot of work this weekend. I'm just like, oh, come here. Ty wanted to say hi. You're just gonna get pests, it's gonna happen. So I know it's unavoidable. And it's not like I get them a whole lot. I feel like I had thrips over the summer in here, and that was before I used beneficials. And then just a few random spider mites, and most recently I have discovered flat mites on pretty much all of my Marantas. I haven't checked a few Marantas because I just haven't checked them yet. I did end up breaking my microscope, so a new one is getting delivered. It should come today. Usually once you see damage from flat mites, it's kind of, the spread is kind of far gone at that point. Like you really do have a problem. So in order to see them, I really do need a microscope. And I think I'm eventually going to be checking my entire collection. Not all at once or anything like that. I think I'm just going to take it day by day, plant by plant. Maybe as I'm watering plants, I'll check a few here and there, and I'll eventually, you know, get them hopefully controlled. Right now, I'll show you, I have a separate area that my treated plants are in. They're in quarantine and they're going to stay there until I don't see flat mites on them anymore before I reintroduce them. But I also don't want to reintroduce them and put them at risk for catching them again if I have other plants with them. So in order for me to really control it, I'm gonna have to get through my entire collection and knock the infection out. I'm hoping it's just the Calatheas and Marantas, and maybe I have to check a few more Hoyas because I know they like Hoyas. So I'm hoping I don't have too much of a spread in here. At least I'm crossing my fingers, so we'll see. But I'm not gonna let it stress me out, like I've said. I'm just gonna take it day by day, and as long as my plants seem happy and they're growing, then I'm not like super worried unless the plant just really seems unhappy. I think my next update after this one will be for the spring. Once spring is here, I'm gonna be putting some plants outside, rearranging a bit, and I'm also gonna be setting up the other bedroom. I'm gonna do a plant shelf in there. I'm either gonna take this big one out of here and put it in there, or I'm gonna get a new smaller shelf and put it in there. I'm gonna stop chattering and let's get to doing some updates. I think the first update I wanna do with you all is probably my cabinet. I end up taking my philodendron verrucosum out, and I extended the thick leaf pole. It has given me some new leaves, which I am super excited about. And it won't fit in there is why I ended up taking it out, which I was hoping to be able to leave it in there for a while. But you could see this is where the extension was, and the growth was extending beyond it. And I don't want to, I just want to have this plant growing happy and growing well. So there was not really a way for me to extend it and leave it in the cabinet, I guess. So yeah, it was really easy. I actually was extending those wrong. When I go to extend one, I'll film it again because I just did this in my own time, and I'll show you guys how to properly extend them because they actually go on the inside, not the outside. So I was doing that wrong. So my pinstripe calathea, I cut all the way back. That nothingness that you see right there is just a pile of dirt. I honestly am wondering if it had flat mites, since a lot of my calathea are coming down with flat mites. I didn't check it, honestly. I just cut the growth back. It was dying back. And my clary has an inflow coming in. That was the newer leaf. It's like fully hardened off. My black velvet is doing pretty good in here. It gave me a new leaf, and lots of these little corms are growing and doing well. So I'm happy to see that one doing well. This is my monstera that I put on the pole in the video. That leaf unfurled and it's doing really well. I haven't noticed any kind of real decline since I added him on here. I do have some of the leaves on the bottom yellowing, which is to be expected. If this one is anything like the regular Monstera adansonii, it's very finicky, so I'm not surprised to see some yellowing. But for the most part, it's doing well, and it seems to have adjusted to the pole. In a different video, I put my Bromworks Fantasy on this thickly pole, and it's put out a couple leaves. You can see there, it's doing really well. It's starting to attach in there. And now that I'm thinking about it, I forgot to add Superthrive when I watered this one, but it seems to have adjusted okay. I normally try to use Superthrive when I repot. This is one of my Pink Princesses. That leaf is so pretty. It's actually working on a new one. I love that half moon. My Florida Beauty that I got imported, this one actually is doing every other leaf variegation. So I think I'm gonna chop this one back, and I'm going to hopefully get one growing that's all variegated. So I think I might let a couple more. This next leaf should be variegated because the one before that was all green. So I think I might let one or two grow out, and then I'm gonna be chopping that back because I really just want a full variegated Florida Beauty since my other one reverted. My Queen is doing really well still. It seems for the most part to be staying green. The oldest leaf is the only crispy one right now. So crossing my fingers, it's happy. I do want to repot her at some point. I actually want to repot a lot of my anthuriums. It's time for a repot. I have like little sheet protector things that I bought that I want to add in the pots and fill with some substrate to help encourage those roots to grow down. So I do want to do that for a lot of them. I'm going to be repotting my Mamie here soon too. This one is growing back nicely. It has another new leaf coming in, or Mame. It is a crawler, so it's on the edge of the pot there. I don't know if that's focusing. So I want to get that one repotted with my Gloriosum. I'm not going to put this one in a long pot yet, but I just want to get it into a little bit of a bigger pot. Since I took my Varicosum out, I put my Mandula in here just to save space on my other shelf. So I'm going to see how this one likes the cabinet life. You also may notice stuff all over my Milano Chrysum, and I believe it got some sort of infection. So this was the one that I imported, the original leaf that I propped, and then it grew 3 leaves, and then the other leaf grew kind of wonky, so it broke off there. And I don't know, there was like white patchy areas over the leaves, and I don't know if it was fungal or some kind of bacterial spread. I should have checked it for flat mites now that I'm thinking about it, but I just treated it with a fungicide to hopefully stop any kind of spread that was going on, because all the props down here, I was going to start adding those back in and repotting them, but I'm holding off a little bit longer because I noticed this thing going on with that, so I'm not sure what was going on with that. I honestly don't know. Moving on to my alocasias, so I think a lot of the updates that you guys wanted to see were on my alocasia corms, and you can see they're doing well. My camera's focusing. So the dragon scale, you can see, has 2 new growths coming in. And I'm more shocked by the regal shields that I did in that alocasia video. Look at those 2 new leaves, they're huge. One of the older leaves died, I just had one yellow off, but it instantly pushed like 2 new leaves, and they're a lot bigger, you can see. So it transitioned to soil just fine. So I did those 2 in the video, and there's another alocasia that I did for Instagram to soil, and that one's doing really well too. Look at these cutie little oblique nodes. I'm gonna be adding these back into the mother pot. They're so cute. I'm gonna let them grow a little bit more. I don't see a whole lot of roots yet. You can see some, but I wanna get them growing more, and then I'm gonna add them back in. And a lot of my other corms, my smaller ones, are a little bit slow to kind of grow. Some of them are pushing some leaves, but I do have corms that are not really growing a whole bunch right now yet. They're just slow and steady. And this variegated one pushed a new leaf. This was the stem that I broke. It sort of healed itself, but I think it's on its way out because I think it's the oldest leaf, and since it pushed a new leaf, it's killing off the oldest one. So I'm not gonna worry about trying to fix it. These are the other props that I did in that one video. Look at all the Cebu blue that have grown in. These are the wet sticks. And the Syndapsus still have not done anything yet. This was October that I took these wet stick cuttings. And you can see there's little growth kind of wanting to come out there. They just haven't popped yet. So definitely very, very slow. I actually might try Fluval maybe to encourage them to grow. But the Cebu blue is doing really good. They're so cute. I love baby leaves and growing them from wet sticks. So that is my cabinet update for you guys. Look at that sun coming in on my moss pole area. I get a little bit of sun. It's like heading towards 4 o'clock in the evenings and they soak it up. I think the only biggest change with my moss poles is I'm gonna be chopping my Adansonii soon right there. Look at this gorgeous leaf. And you can see her areoles there are off the pole. Oh, almost knocked the light down. This is actually the newest leaf here. No, I'm sorry, that's the newest leaf and that's the second oldest, and it is working on another one. I gotta be careful. My Splendid is working on new growth. This is my new Marble Queen leaf. She is my favorite leaf right now. I love her. She's still hardening, so she's gonna get bigger. I love the pattern of variegation. I seriously love this plant. I love her so much. It's funny because I noticed this leaf turning down like this, which is interesting. I think it's actually reaching to the mother light, and my Adansonii kind of faces down, whereas the leaves here are stretching up towards the light up top. So I did notice that. That's kind of interesting how it's positioning itself, I guess. My Cebu blue is getting bigger. Look at that leaf. I have a feeling it's going to start fenestrating probably in a couple more leaves. I might start getting a few holes. And my Siltepecana, look at all the split leaves. She is gorgeous. So this one I'm actually going to try to extend. She has reached beyond the pole. I'm gonna try one more extension. It'll literally be to the ceiling, but I actually might take this one down and put it on the floor maybe, or get a smaller stand. I'm thinking so I can try to add one more extension on top. But yeah, she's super tall, and if I can't extend it, if it's too unsteady, then I think I might end up chopping her, but we'll see. And over here, I don't think there's too many changes. I want to show you my Campo Sports Juanum. I don't know if I showed you her in a while. This was a stuck leaf. Look at how big. Like, this is my hand, and I feel like I have pretty big hands. This new leaf is gorgeous. What else? My Dubia is doing really well since being on the pole. I don't know if you can see from all that sun coming in. It's so bright. Let me back up a little bit here. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna be able to see it too well. I actually think something is going wrong with my Majestic here. This hasn't grown since I got her, and the oldest leaf is yellowing, which is to be expected, I guess, because it's the older leaf. Man, that sun is making this really bright. Let me try and block some of it. There we go. So yeah, the oldest leaf is yellowing. The newest leaf seems fine, a little bit of yellowing, and this one is yellowing. I don't know if it's like pointing down, like it's getting too much light. I had moved it to be closer to the light, but it definitely seems like to be going in a downward position. So I don't know. I don't think it has anything wrong with the roots, but I might undo this one and check the roots out. And then, I don't know. I was thinking maybe it was just dormant, but it just doesn't seem happy, and it's weird that it hasn't pushed a new leaf yet. My Escoletto pushed this new leaf recently, and you can see it's working on another one, which is so crazy. I love the big leaves. Lots of new growth. And this one I'm actually going to be chopping, my variegated Adansonii. This is the Indonesian form. I actually need to probably extend this one, but instead of extending it, I think I'm going to chop it all the way back so that I have a bushy pot rather than this long stringy vine that's currently growing. So I'll do that for one day. And honestly, that's it for my poles. Not too much else with those. And over here, this big Anthurium hybrid, this new leaf is beautiful. It is still expanding and getting bigger. Look at how gorgeous that is. So right now this one is facing that way, and the two bigger leaves are fanning out. My anthuriums have definitely fanned outward because of the light source in all directions. I still cannot believe I had all these anthurium squished in there. Just boggles my mind. But it is loving life out of the cabinet. Over here by the window, let's see, I think the biggest change is a lot of my Maranta are out of my room because they all came down with flat mites. And I haven't checked those Calathea yet because my microscope broke. So as soon as I get my microscope, my new one, I'm gonna check and treat those. I have a feeling those have it as well, just because they were near other plants that had them and some leaves were touching. So I'm assuming they have them, but I don't want to treat them unless I know for sure. I moved this one over here because one of the leaves were getting burnt. I actually have an alocasia down there. I am gonna leave him on the bottom just to make sure that, I don't think the cats would mess with it at all, but it's too big to kind of fit in the center. So I'm gonna leave him down there and just see how the cats do with it. My variegated Frydek I moved here, and my cutie little Jacqueline is right here. It's doing well. The new leaf hasn't grown or anything yet, and I'm not going to repot that one. I actually checked this one for flat mites and I didn't see anything. I'm going to be checking my new plants now for flat mites. The variegated one seems to only want to keep 3 leaves at a time. It keeps killing off the oldest leaf. It is pushing a new one, so I'm assuming this one will be on its way out soon. So it's probably going to do that for a while until it can grow and establish itself, because my regular Frydek did that for the longest time and it still does it. It is pushing a new leaf there that you can see, and it got some like discoloration. I don't know if you can make that out right there on some of the leaves, and I'm not sure what that is or what's going on. I've never seen that before on the Frydek. It's on a couple leaves, but not a lot. I'm assuming maybe I don't think I overwatered it, and I don't see like any pests or anything on it because a lot of the plants in this corner came down with spider mites. I actually moved some right here. My Squammy and my variegated Burl Marks both had spider mites. I've sprayed it with water and put mites on it. I don't see any more mites that have come back because those two were in that corner, as well as my Jose. My Jose had a couple more spider mites, so I'm leaving him back here. And I have mites, beneficial mites on him. So I'm gonna have to check that one again. They were like the red 2-spotted spider mite or something. It was a pretty early infestation. I noticed them in this corner, and some had gotten on my Splendid as well. And then, yeah, I think a couple other plants had them that I was able to get rid of them quickly. It had spread to this philodendron, and I thought there was another philodendron that had them. I actually had a couple on the Regal Shield because it was over here, but again, I caught it super early, so nothing, it wasn't a bad infestation by any means. And I rechecked the Regal Shield and I didn't see any more spider mites. So as of right now, that is in the clear. This one gave me a new leaf recently. It is huge. My new one is doing well. I ended up cutting the 2 yellow leaves off, and it does droop when it's thirsty. I've watered it twice now. I have a sticky trap in there and then beneficial mites. I haven't cleaned the leaves or done anything with it. And the spots, the yellow spots seem to kind of be the same. So as of right now, I haven't treated or done anything with this plant, but I do eventually want to get it repotted. I actually want to check for flat mites as well, but again, when I get my microscope, my new one, I will check that one. With the sun coming in, I can't really show you my hanging baskets up close, but they're all doing well. I have blooms on my Lacinosa, my Bilobata, or I'm sorry, my Burtonay, and I have peduncles coming in on my Polynera, and my Retusa is all blooming. They're all doing well. My Monsteras are doing well. They're all pushing pretty much new growth at the same time. My Pilea is doing well over here. I love her. And what else is kind of going on? I think over here, my Scindapsus, you know that I am going to be chopping those soon. I put my serpents here. They kept knocking it down by the window. The new leaf, I think someone might have chewed there. But I feel like this one, I don't know if it's yellowing or if some kind of fungal thing is going on with it again. But I moved it, I need to repot it. It's been knocked down so many times, so I feel like that probably made it angry. But I want to repot it and get it put on a, I think, grow thickly pole. And I kind of have it down away from the light. I think it was getting too much light in the window. So I'm hoping it does better. And look at this massive Monstera leaf, you guys. Do you see this? So this was about the size of the previous leaves, and this is an absolute monster. I wish you guys could see this leaf in person. It is like twice as big as this leaf, and I thought this leaf was pretty big. This is a monster. Look at this huge leaf. Like, this is my hand. Do you see that? It is huge, so big. I definitely feel like getting it under better light this winter helped this plant so much. It is so gorgeous. My Clary is working on, or not, my Crystal Linum is working on some new leaves coming in. I do need to repot, like I said, so many anthurium. This shelf is kind of my much needed help plant shelf. I have props, I have plants, I have plants I need to repot. This is like not really my neglected shelf, but just the shelf where I put plants that I don't really have room for. I honestly have so much repotting to do on this shelf and plants to take care of. So I am going to be slowly working on that. My Pink Princess new leaf is here, and it is working on a new growth. This plant is gorgeous. Oh, here's another Pink Princess. This is my new cutting. I get asked about this one quite often, that Epi Marble. And the growth point, it looks like it might be a little bit bigger. I don't know if you can make that out. So hopefully I get a new leaf soon. My Oblique is doing well since I moved it away from the window. That is a new leaf. And it does have a couple other ones coming in and another growth point. This is the one that Chai chewed up to death. I have a Global Green that's getting taller and bigger. I'm really excited for this heart leaf as well. I love this one. Let's see, my El Choco gave me a new leaf right there. It's gorgeous. But other than that, I just have so many plants to take care of on this shelf. Syngonium, I need to figure out what I'm gonna do with them, get them staked. Yeah, I have just so much plant care to do over here. Oh, I haven't showed you my prop box in a while either. It's been fully acclimated to the room environment. A lot of this is a Baltic Blue and Golden Pothos, which I'm going to be adding back in. I have some Scindapsus in here. I have a Brandy. This Enjoy Pearls and Jade I'm going to be doing on a thickly pole, so that I'm going to do soon. And just some random like little baby wet stick growth. They're all doing really well. Oop. So I'll probably work on doing that for a video one day here too. As far as my plant room goes, that's pretty much all the updates in here. It's just, It's just the flat mites, you know, finding those have been somewhat of a disappointment, especially since they attacked all of my Maranta. I have moved. I don't have a single Maranta in my plant room now. So I'm going to show you my Maranta quarantine zone and my setup for that. And then once I get my new microscope, I will start scoping and checking more plants and treating more plants. But let me take you over to that area. Hi, cutie. Yeah, hi. All right, so over here is my Maranta Calathea quarantine zone. I ended up putting one tiny 10-watt grow light here just to give this some extra light because I really don't have any extra grow lights. So you can see every single plant on this table has flat mites, and it's all my Maranta and some Calathea. My red Maranta I treated with Azamax. I'm going to see which treatment works better. You can see the sulfur residue on a lot of them. The Calathea medallion was one of the first ones that I noticed the markings on. And I don't know how they spread to all my Maranta because they've been in various different spots in my plant room. I'm thinking when I propagated them and added props in, a lot of the props I took and added them together. So I don't know if they crawled onto one another from the props I added in, or they just somehow crawled and got onto my Marantas. These are kind of next to each other in my plant room, along with my silver band and that one. We're kind of all close together, as well as this one. And I added some props in this lemon lime that had some on it. And this one was in my bathroom. I actually just cut a bunch of growth off that was severely damaged. I didn't even have to check because I knew it was flat mites. And I treated that one with Azamax, as well as all these props. I had some rooting in here for a while, you can see. And I actually got rid of a lot of props that had severe damage, and then I sprayed the rest with Azamax. The silver band Maranta and the Calathea medallion has been on 2 treatments now with sulfur. I do have new growth coming in on the Calathea medallion that you can see. And then the rest of these have just been like 1 treatment because I just sprayed all these down this weekend. When I was hanging my plant shelf up, my new setup, I noticed the variegated Maranta had those markings all over it. And so I immediately knew it was flat mites. And then when I checked on my microscope, I saw them. And then my big Maranta here, it hadn't really grown a lot this winter, and I just figured maybe it was just winter time. But then thinking back, like, my plant room is a pretty good growing environment and a lot of my other plants are growing, but it didn't dawn on me that my Maranta here was not growing. And I didn't get to check this one because my microscope broke, but it had those markings all over the leaves. So, and then these were props that I took off of this one. So I don't know if she was the main source of infestation or not, but they were kind of all in the same vicinity in a way, minus that one. But I think the reason that one got it was because of the mites that were on the props that I took off of that one. So yeah, this is my setup. So I think I might treat and spray once a week, maybe, because it's a lot to check and treat and then water my entire collection. I normally water over the weekend, so I think maybe one day midweek I will do the checking and treatment on these plants, because I also have one other plant that I think has them. I'm going to show you this corner actually over here, and then I'm going to show you the other plant that I think has flat mites. And I think the biggest change or update over here would be this new alocasia that I bought. So this alocasia, I'll put a picture on the screen. This alocasia has a severe fungal infection that I noticed, and so it is currently treated with a fungicide. I honestly don't know if this plant is going to survive. I don't know if all the leaves are going to crisp up and get super angry, but I'm going to repot this plant soon. I want to do like an alocasia video and repot this one and the new one, and take care of some corms, I think. I probably should have repotted it already, but I was letting it acclimate. And this big leaf was turned the other way, so I didn't catch it in time. I just had it like that, acclimating. And so when I went to check on it, I noticed immediately it had a fungal infection. So yeah, that was lovely. And then I have to treat and check that Hoya again. That one had flat mites. I've only done 1 round of sulfur treatment on that one. And this original Calathea that had flat mites, I need to scope again. That is a new leaf that has grown, but you can see it's already browning. Everything else over here by the window seems to be doing okay. Moving to the bedroom, so I believe this Maranta and this big Tenanthe has them too. And why I think this one has them is, I'm not certain, but I feel like the veining on this one, I'm questioning flat mites, because I actually had this stand, all 3 with Marantas, the propagations, and they were kind of touching this Tenanthe, and then this Maranta was touching the Tenanthe on this side. So do you know how big she is? She's humongous. And if this thing has flat mites, this is going to be a nightmare to treat, which I have a feeling it does. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to this one. She's so big and beautiful. It's gonna be okay. So yeah, and I have to check. I have another Maranta and Calathea in my bathroom that I'm gonna have to check. I'm just gonna take it 1 plant at a time as far as the flat mites go. I'm gonna try and quarantine plants that have them. I actually might set up a quarantine station in that bedroom that we were just in, because there's so much extra space. So I just have to probably get a shelf or something to sit plants on that the cats can't get to them. And then I'll leave plants in there, and then probably where that table is, wherever it went, over there, back there. And yeah, it'll just be treatment, check each week, treat each week, and then I will move on to checking other plants in my collection. I think honestly that's been the biggest thing that's making me a bit sad with my houseplants right now, is just flat mites. I think it's just, the reasoning is you can't see them, and you don't know if they're on your other plants until you check them. And then the feeling of having to check 200 plants sounds so daunting and such a task. So I think that's the only thing that I've been upset about recently and feeling kind of down about, is the whole flat mite thing. I just wished I knew about them sooner. I know I can't beat myself up over it, and pests are gonna happen. I just wished I knew about them sooner. Was the only thing. So it's gonna be okay. I will get through this. I will treat my plants and they will be fine. I'm happy to make others aware of my situation in flat mites, because I still don't feel like a lot of people know about them. And you know, it's crazy. It's kind of scary and crazy to think about. I call flat mites the invisible pest, is what I'm calling them. It's scary to think that there's an invisible pest that could be killing your plant that you aren't aware of. But I will make an updated flat mite video and talk about them a little bit more and kind of share more of my treatment and my findings with you guys. My first flat mite video I did, I wasn't sure how to use the microscope that well, and I've gotten better at using it, and I can zoom in really close to them and I can see them crawling and moving and all that. So I will share some updated footage with you guys and do an update video here probably in a few weeks once I kind of learn more and discover which plants have them and my course of treatment and all that. So don't worry, I will be making, you know, an update on that. So if you guys have them or concerned that you might have them, I just want to show you my findings to help others out there. Thank you guys for watching this update with me. I will definitely keep you updated, and I'm just, yeah, I'm ready to get this next phase hump over with. I feel like the flat mites in spring is going to be a lot of work, but it's okay. We got this. But thank you guys for watching, and I will talk to you later.